All right, welcome back to Five on the Floor for another episode of Sponsors Corner. We like to spotlight those who keep us going, but also help the community going with various business activities that they do. We've got Javier Iglesias from Real Estate Shop. You can find him at realestateshoppefl.com. That's with two P's and an E, or the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram. Check out everything that they do over at Real Estate Shop. They will help you find the best possible deal when you're buying or selling your home in South Florida, based in Broward County, service the Tri-County area. But we're going to have Javier on here for some serious Heat talk. Big Heat fan, been frustrating for you as it's been for many of us this season. But Javier, let's start here for Heat seasons that you have watched, and then I'll get to the real purpose of this. Heat seasons that you have watched. How old are you, Javier? Not to
I'm 40.
disclose. Okay.
40.
All
Yeah.
right. 40. All right. So there you go. So you are born in, what are we looking at here? I'm very bad
80,
at math.
84.
85. 84. Okay. So 1984. So you were basically 11, 12 years old, 11 years old when Pat Riley took over. So you were aware enough of what was going on with the franchise. As
That's when
seasons
my
go,
Heat fandom began, when we got Zoe and Timmy. Those are some of my favorite teams.
okay, so perfect. So we were right about where my daughter is right now. Okay, so there we go, Javier. So if that's the case, how frustrating has this season been on a scale of 1 to 10 compared to previous Heat seasons? 10
It's
being the most
it's
frustrating.
pretty up there. I mean, I would probably rate it like a 8 or a 9. It's just it feels like they're sitting on their hands, which is the part I think that frustrates a lot of the fan base, right? We all grew up idolizing Riley for these big, crazy moves, and those things haven't come around in a while, and the team has just been stagnant, and we've been running it back for a bit. So it's very frustrating as a fan to sit around and watch the same thing over and over again.
Okay, so what would give you confidence that they're moving in the right direction? Because they will say that they're kind of gearing up for another build, right? Like they drafted Ware, Jovic, Jaquez. We know Jaime has not been so great this year. Nico has been injured a lot. Ware has shown quite a bit as a starter, emerged as a starter this season. They got Davion Mitchell, Wiggins, Kyle Anderson in the Jimmy trade. They've got a pick coming up from Golden State, which looks like they'll get it this year. And they may or may not have their own pick, which is what I'm going to ask you about in a second. But before we get to that, what would give you confidence that they are moving in the right direction? Like if you were selling them like you were selling a house, okay? Let's say, all right. So describe them as a house. That's a good way to go. Like, are they leaking? Should we get our other sponsor, Water Cleanup of Florida? They're all pro construction builders. We'll get them in too because we'll make sure that the house is protected. Describe them as a house. You're pitching a house. You got an open house. You're selling the heat.
Yeah,
Okay, what would you sell?
I would think, if I'm comparing them to a house, they have good bones. I like to say this, right, when I'm showing houses. They have good bones. They have a good structure. It's maybe one of these houses out west with an older roof, right, that needs to be replaced. And that's the main thing that you need in a house. You have your roof over you and feel safe. That would be like an alpha player, right, to take over and bring the franchise to a
So
good.
Jimmy was the roof. Jimmy was the roof.
Yeah, but that was a financed roof, I think.
The roof blew itself off,
Yeah,
basically, is what the I don't know if I
yeah.
can say that on a podcast. But yeah, okay, so the roof is not there anymore. And so but basically the house has been leaking a little bit. Now I always thought BAM was the floor. Right? Like Bam is the floor. Like you're
Foundation.
not going
Yeah,
to sink beyond a certain level as long as you
yeah,
have him anchoring the defense.
I
So you
agree.
still feel okay about the floor, but they need to raise the roof
Yeah,
essentially.
I was worried about Bam a lot of part of the season, but he's turned it around and he looks really solid. He looks like the old Bam, which, as long as his defense is good and he's not hesitating to shoot and put the ball on the floor, I think he's going to be all right. But yeah, I that's how I see it. I want decisive, quick movements from the front office this summer. I want changes. That's really where I'd stand.
All right, so here's the question, and I've asked this question of our guy Nelson Solomon from c-armandstaffing.com to Lynette, to other sponsors. I want to see where all the fans are here because I know Greg has moved from his position inside the network. Do you want the Heat to miss the playoffs and keep their pick this year? even though that means the picks in 26 and 28 become unprotected, which means you run the risk of giving away a lottery pick next year. Do you want it? But this is a better draft. This is supposed to be a better draft. Do you just want it now? Which means not making the playoffs, not getting out of the play-in.
Yes and no. I mean, that's a really tough question because it depends on what you do with the pick, right? Because then we would have our pick and we'd have Golden State's pick. That's really what it would come down to.
Likely, yes. I mean, it looks like the Warriors are going to make the playoffs. Because if you look at the 9, they may not make it right away. They might have to get through the play-in, but again, that pick is only top 10 protected too. So it looks like the Heat are going to get the they're more likely to get the Golden State pick right now than even their own pick, although I think they're going to get both.
Yeah. So in the scenario where you get both, that's good to have to land a star player, right? Not necessarily to draft a good player. So that's where I would fall into like the I would rather have the pick now. But if it's only one of two picks, you're going to end up drafting someone, I think. So, you know, do your best, I guess, in the play-in.
All right, and do your best in the play-in, but lose. I think that's what most Heat fans want. Be competitive. I always wait till the last 3 minutes, and everybody decides. And all these people who want them to lose, I see them then getting pissed when they lose and pissed about a SPO decision. I'm like, didn't you want this? Like, I don't understand. Like, it's all a macro micro in the moment type
Yeah.
thing. So that's
It's
the,
it's
but
just
we
hard
know.
as a fan, right? Because you want your team to win and you want your team to do good,
Mm,
and you're like a homer, right? You see the best in
yeah,
these people, right? So when you see them playing, you're like, man, they could be so much better than, than this. But this team has a ceiling. I mean, I think that's
yeah.
just the reality, right?
Yeah. And we always credit you because you were the one who wanted Drew Smith to play more early in the season, and you were right about that. And we hear he's recovering well. All right, Javier, where do people find you? You will find them only houses with roofs on them, stable floors, all of that kind of stuff. Where can they find you?
You can find us at realestateshoppefl.com, on Instagram at the Fort Lauderdale Realtor, or you can give me a call, 954-268-9812. Right now is a great time to get a good deal on a home. There's a lot of stuff going on in the market, and we'll, we're happy to help you navigate it. It's definitely a good time to have a good realtor by your side.
All right, so check it out. The Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram and Real Estate Shops, realestateshoppefl.com. That's two P's and an E. All right. Javier and Amanda, they'll take real good care of you. And again, check out the IG so you can see everything they do on a daily basis. They are South Florida people, so check them out. Javier, thank you very much for the time. And we know you'll be rooting for them in the last 3 minutes of the play in, no
I
matter what
will.
it is you say.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, man.
All right, man.